and welcome to the Secrets of Organ Playing podcast. I'm your host, Vidas Pinkevičius. Welcome to Secrets of Organ Playing podcast number 86. Today is Sunday, March 19, 2017. And today's guest is a young American organist, Matthew Cates, who is an avid lover and player of classical music, from Chopin and Rachmaninov at the piano to Messiaen and Durufle at the organ. He has a huge passion for composition and improvisation as well. Matthew currently studies organ with Dr. Timothy Olsen as a junior organ major in the high school program at the University of North Carolina School of Arts. He won second prize at the 6th annual UNCSA Salem College High School organ competition, where he performed Bach and Liszt's. He also won 2 superior prizes for piano performance in the 2013 and 2014 ACSI competitions. Matthew started his piano study at the age of 9 with Carly Karns. His passion for music continues and is very dedicated to playing and performing music from the Baroque to contemporary compositions. In this conversation, Matthew shares his insights on the flow in performance, adjusting to tracker action, and other organ stories. Let's go to the show. So, Matthew, I'm so delighted you are joining this conversation. We're connecting from very different countries and very different time zones, right?
Yes.
What
morning
time?
Here.
Morning, right? 11 o'clock, I see, in your place. And here in Vilnius is at 6 o'clock in the evening. So thank you so much for joining together, and welcome to the show.
Well, thank you.
Great. Usually we'll start these conversations by sharing the stories of our childhood, or maybe do you remember the story how you first fell in love with the organ? Can you share us?
Yes, my mom was a janitor at a church, and they had a nice big pipe organ. And I was helping her one day after school clean the church. And I remember hearing the organ, but it wasn't like I had heard it before. It wasn't all soft and slow, and it wasn't hymns. I heard somebody playing the ending of Maurice Durufle's Divine Creator, and I heard somebody playing the final toccata from his suite, or Prelude, Adagio, and Chorale Variations. And I thought to myself, wow, I really, really want to play that. And so I went up to the organist there, and I talked to him for a while. And then I tried to convince my mom to let me study the organ, and it worked out. And I studied the organ for about a year, and it went really, really well. And then I switched schools and went farther up north to school. And my organ progression, so to say, slowed down for my entire school year last year, until I was offered a scholarship to the School of the Arts in Winston-Salem for organ. And so I accepted the scholarship and I went there, and now I'm progressing phenomenally. Everything is going great, and I have an amazing teacher there, and I play the organ every single day.
Wonderful story. And how old were you where your basically mom first showed you the sounds and this experience with the organ? How old were you?
It was about 2.5 years ago. So I was I think 14 or 15.
Wow. So that was like a love from the first sight, right? With the organ.
Yeah.
What amazed you about the organ from the beginning? Magnificent sound, or maybe complexity of it, or maybe combination of any other things?
It wasn't any of those. It was the stories it could tell.
Really? For example?
Music is... I don't like using adjectives to describe music. It's very dangerous because, for example, Beethoven's Piano Sonata No. 7, it seems, the last movement, it seems really humorous in a way, but there are also other people who would say it is tragic because it opens with a two-note or three-note motive, and then it's very interruptive, and it never allows it to develop anymore. And so it gives it that tragic sense of a music never being able to go forward. So I don't like using adjectives to describe music. I think music is best described by sound and by music.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess what I have to say, the stories that you can tell through the organ, through using the combinations and the different colors of the combinations and the stops, the stories are very much unprecedented to other instruments because you have an entire orchestra at your fingertips.
Mm-hmm.
And being able to share your emotions and feelings with other people and carry people on journeys without having to speak is very, very much connected with me.
Right. That's actually one of the first times I hear this. Many people, fall in love with the organ because of the sound, the majestic sound, complexity of construction, right? Acoustics, right? Environment, mysterious environment if you are in a cathedral. But for you, it's storytelling, right? Stories. Without words, right? And how it connects with people and with the performance emotionally, right? So it's very interesting. Do you remember what was the first thing you played on the organ?
The first piece I played on the organ was the Maurice Durufle, the choral variations on Veni Creator. My first piece.
That's not a very easy piece. So you must have had a great piano technique by then.
I had studied piano a lot before then, and my main focus on piano was Chopin, and so I did a lot of Chopin piano, along with Rachmaninov and Debussy, and then I transferred over into the organ. And so I guess you could say that I had a decent piano technique at that time.
Wonderful, wonderful. Do you think that piano technique helps when you perform such a virtuoso music as Maurice Durufle?
Very much so. It helps a lot. Yeah. And especially learning how to feel when the hammer strikes the strings in the piano, learning the sensitivity and how to control that with utmost precision is very helpful, especially on tracker organs.
Right. Now, Matthew, when you practice organ music, do you also play it on the piano as well?
I do.
You do.
I do.
Do you feel that it's a separate touch, like organ touch, when you try to play piano, or do you still play piano with dynamics like normal piano touch, or you adjust to the organ touch? What's your story?
I express the music in different ways on whatever instrument I play it on. If it's the harpsichord or the piano or the organ, I express it very differently. As you said, the piano, I use dynamics. The organ, you use stops and colors and swell pedals and choir pedals and crescendo pedals. And then for the harpsichord, there's various things like the different pedals you can press and the arpeggiation of the chords and stuff like that. So it's very different for me.
Right.
Very different.
Even though you would play the same piece on several different instruments, right? You would play it differently.
Very differently, yes.
I see. Is it difficult for you then to adjust, going back to the organ from the piano?
It's not.
No. What's the most challenging thing for you right now when you play the organ?
I would have to say that, I'm playing recital Saturday at Duke, and the particular organ I'm playing on is very, very stiff. It's a tracker, so it's very, very stiff. But my main concern for that is keeping it clear, and because it's in a big acoustic, and so I want to be able to keep it clear and clean, but still be able to hear the music very well, and still not. I don't want to sound like a robot, but I want it to be clean. If you know what I'm saying? Yeah,
as clean as possible, right?
As clean as possible, but still flowing. That's what it's flowing. I want it to flow very well. Flow.
Do you record your recitals, Matthew?
I will record it, yes.
You will. Did you know that it's very easy to make a CD or even DVD out of a recording of a live performance today?
Yeah, I did. I've made one CD of once already of myself performing some works.
Mm-hmm. So you would actually would like actually to play as clean as possible and in a flowing manner, right? So that no mistakes, right? No ciphers, right? And it would be like a CD, clean CD performance, right?
Correct.
But it's not that easy, right? What's the most challenging thing for you to think about when you play the organ in public? I know you can play fluently when practicing by yourself, right? We all can.
Of course, we all can.
When somebody else is looking at us, right? In your case, at Duke, for example, maybe 100 people might be there, right? So, what changes in that situation in your mind?
You have to get up there when, of course, you have to get up and they're all clapping in the beginning, and you bow at the audience, and you're nervous because you're about to walk to the organ and play in front of all these people. You have to think to yourself, if any one of these people were up here, they would feel the same thing I'm feeling. And also, there is no such thing as a perfect performance. I've never heard one. I don't think I ever will hear one. You have to know that everybody makes mistakes, and you just gotta kind of roll with it. Just go along with it. If you can make one or two mistakes in a recital, that's amazing. It's great. I would be more than happy with a few or a couple mistakes, because that gives it character. It shows that you're not perfect, but that you've worked hard enough and you've perfected your craft. Mm-hmm. And I think anybody who knows how to play and knows how hard it is to play in front of people, and especially knows how hard it is to play very virtuosic works in front of people, knows that it takes a lot of effort and time, and that if you can perform it well and only have a few mistakes, that's really quite good.
So you have to be forgiving, right? For your own mistakes, failures, right? Don't judge yourself too much, right?
Yeah. Try not to judge yourself.
Because really people come to your recitals to enjoy the music, right? To enjoy the stories that you are telling, to enjoy the emotions that you are transferring to them, right? The energy. And they are not there to criticize you. At least most of them, right?
Some of
them are, right? Like your professor might be, but let me ask you about your mentors and professor. Who is your professor right now? Who are you studying?
My professor is Dr. Timothy Olsen. He is my professor at the University of North Carolina School of the Arts and the Music Conservatory there.
Right. So, in this year when you're studying, right? What do you remember most about your professor right now? What's the first thing that comes to mind?
He's kind.
He is kind. So kindness is a virtue for you, right? A very valuable attitude that people can have, right? Do you like professors, or maybe have you met professors who are very strict, strict with themselves and maybe with their students as well? Like, do you remember the story about Charles-Marie Widor, how he came first to Paris Conservatory and he became the teacher there, professor of organ, and he became a successor of César Franck. César Franck was loving, kind, just like your professor probably today. And Widor was completely different. He was maybe cold, maybe strict, and like a fatherly figure, but in a way very like a soldier, right? Everybody was afraid of him. So, have you met those people in your experience?
Oh yes. I'm not going to name names because I don't want to put anybody out there or be rude to anybody. But I have had a professor like that, and it's rough.
It is.
It's rough.
Yeah.
Emotionally, it's rough. And to me, I always want to be really, really good friends with my professors. And if someone is strict or unkind or cold or maybe diminishing to your personality or tells you that you're not doing this and that and that you're bad and all this and that you're not where you're supposed to be and blah blah blah, all that stuff. It's a put down, and it really hurts you. But if you can get a professor that's really like the one I have now, he's not only my professor, he's really kind of my best friend as well. He's really encouraging. I mean, heck, me and him went out and had ice cream and pizza together one night. Like he's a cool man. He's nice. He's encouraging, and encouraging is really big too. That's really, it helps your students along.
Yeah, and he's very helpful, right? He helps you to advance to the next level in organ playing.
Yes,
constantly with his inspiration, right?
Yeah, very much.
With his own example, perhaps, right?
Yeah, his own self, his person. He's an example.
Yeah. So, Matthew, of course, we all need those people who are above us, right? Who can lead us. Do you think that we need people who are our peers, basically, who are at our own level? Maybe your own colleagues, your friends, right? Do you have friends at University of North Carolina?
I do. Particularly my organ studio, and I can name one off the top of my head. I'm not going to say his last name, but his first name is Davis. He is definitely my best friend in the organ studio in terms of colleagues. He's very, very helpful. He's always willing to help, and we all give each other advice. I'll give him advice, and he'll give me advice, and same goes for anybody else in my studio. We're all there to help each other and make each other better. It's very important to have people at your own level, and even people below you, because if you have people that are not quite at your level yet, you can share your experiences with them and help them to reach that level.
That was, Matthew, my next question, right? We need those superior people who can lead us, right? We need our equals, and we also need those who can be our we can be examples to them, right? Like mentors to them, our younger colleagues, perhaps. When we are older, our students too. So Matthew, how can we lead those people who are not at that level today, but who can still look up to us, right? What's your experience?
Well, you need to be understanding of their personal situations. Some people don't have access to organs, hardly at all, so they can't practice very much. Some people are not as talented or as gifted as others, so they might progress slower, or if they're talented, might progress faster. So you really need to work with the individuals and learn them, respect them, and go off of their personal needs. Very much.
You have to have empathy, right?
Yeah, be very understanding.
Understanding what their needs are, their challenges, right?
Yeah.
And you have to remember how you first started, right? Perhaps when you have more experience with many organs, right? You travel a lot and you play different recitals. Many hundreds of pieces perhaps are under your belt, so to say. You tend to forget what your first challenge was, right? Maybe you feel so experienced. Even today, right? You are playing in a few days, the day after tomorrow, right? Recital, right? And many of your friends are not at this level yet, right? Who are maybe, who will be playing the recital, but maybe in a few months or in a few years at best. So yes, how can we encourage them without being too, we have to be too soft. We still have to be realistic, right? We cannot say, "Oh, it was wonderful," when in reality performance wasn't wonderful at all.
It was terrifying.
Terrifying, yeah. So how do you probably take an example from your own professor, right? How he treats you. So how do you give feedback to people who fail a lot and make mistakes? How you can remain kind to them, but honest?
my personality in me is sometimes I have an extreme when I'm honest, and that sometimes I can be too honest. And so you have to have a balance of being understanding, but also being realistic and honest.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to name people, but there are some people that I know that decide that they think that it'll be okay if they don't practice much, and they go out to perform, and they'll get halfway through a fugue, and it's okay. It's not great or anything, but it's okay. And then they'll make a mistake, and they'll stop, and it'll ruin the whole piece, and then their mindset's off, and they can't recover from it, and then the rest of the piece is just stumbling around trying to get to the ending of it. You have to be honest with them. Sometimes you have to scold them, get on them, tell them that they need to practice more. You have to understand that when it comes to organ or any instrument, any profession, anything you want to be good at, painting, for example, anything, it takes work. It doesn't come free. Nothing comes free. You have to work at it. I put, on average, about 6 hours a day to the organ every single day.
Mm-hmm.
You have to work very hard.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't work, you're not going to get anything out of it. You want to put out of it what you get in, or you're going to get out of it what you put into it. It's not going to come free. You can't sit down for an hour and then play a recital and expect the recital to be good. It's not going to happen. The recital's going to suck if you play an hour. So you have to really put in the effort and be realistic with the people and tell them that they also have to put in the effort, because if they don't put in the effort, they're not going to be good.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It's effort and work.
Effort, grit, right? Basically,
yeah.
Be persistent, right?
Be persistent.
In the face of constant challenges, constant failures, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you have to keep focused, keep positive attitude, basically. Keep hopeful that the time will come when you master this particular spot, which still gives you trouble today. So, Matthew, what's your plan for the future? What would you like to do with the organ when you're done with your studies?
I want to be a professor at a university or a conservatory, and I would also want to be a traveling concert organist,
mm-hmm.
and give a bunch of recitals and stuff.
Combination of teaching and performing, right?
Exactly.
Do you like to work at church? Would you like to be a church musician as well, or not so much?
Not so much.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not. It's a valuable skill, and we need those people who play hymns and stuff. But hymns have always. I can play hymns and I can improvise off of hymns and stuff, but I don't enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
And I really want a profession where I can enjoy it and not have to get up and go to work every day and just be ready for it to be over. I want to be able to have fun life and be able to enjoy what I do, love it.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that I love teaching, and I love showing people other things and how to better themselves in music, and especially music. And I know that I like telling stories through music and playing recitals and stuff and telling music stories and playing the organ. And I would love to do that combination of both, because that would make me feel that my life is complete and that I was very happy.
Wonderful dream. I wish you all the best with this. And of course you have probably what it takes, right? You have perseverance, you have the right positive attitude, you're not giving up so easily, right? And you are hardworking. You play, as you say, 6 hours a day. Sometimes it's too much. How your mind feels when you play for 4, 5, or 6 hours at the end of the practice session? Is it still fresh, or you ready to go to bed after that?
Well, you never practice 6 hours straight through. I take a break every 30 minutes.
Oh, that's great.
But see, it's not a break where I stop and go sit down and watch TV. I think about what I'm doing, and I think about how in the next 30-minute segment of my practice I can make it better.
Mm-hmm.
And so, say there's a water fountain out in the hallway outside of the organ, I'll take a walk around the sanctuary, and then I'll go out to the water fountain and get a water, about a 3-minute break, and just my legs stretched and walk around and just drink of water, and I'll come back and I'll set my mind to do what I focused on in the break about thinking about how I should improve it, and I'll do that for about 2 hours, and then after 2 hours I'll take a little bit longer break and I'll relax and get a snack or something, get something to eat, and I'll come back and do another 2 hours the same way, and then another 2 hours the same way.
Mm-hmm.
And then if I have a recital, it might be 8 hours the day before, and I might do another 2 hours.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Right.
So,
you take frequent breaks.
Go away. Mm-hmm. You have to stay focused.
And you during the break, you really have to stretch, right? Take a drink or take a walk around the sanctuary, as you say, right? Do something different than sitting and thinking mentally, right? You do some things a little bit physically too, so that your body would not remain stiff for a long period of time.
Very much, yeah.
So Matthew, your recital is in 2 days. What are you playing? Can you share with us?
Sure.
Secret.
I'm opening the recital with the Vierne Caroline de Westminster from his Troisième Suite from the 24 Pieces of Fantasy.
Right.
And then I'll be playing variations on the Schmuckedik Olibazela by David Johnson, who writes more towards, in my opinion, the English romantic style, which is a very nice, very quiet set of variations on that hymn. It's very lovely. In the middle of the recital, I'll be playing the Prelude and Fugue in A minor by Bach, the BWV 543. It's a fabulous piece by Bach, and the fugue is just fantastic, and it's so dramatic. I love it.
A minor, right?
The A minor.
Wonderful piece, yes. Fantastic fugue, yes, I know that.
Then I'll be playing a chorale by Brahms, the Schmuckedik Olibazela, the same chorale, but by setting by Brahms, and which is a lovely, fabulous piece. And I'll be playing it on the 8-foot gedeckt on the swell on this organ. And this is particularly more of a German Baroque organ, so it has a very nice flute to play it on. And I'll be ending the recital with the Prelude and Danse Fugue by Gaston Littez, who is a French modernist composer.
And he was blind, right?
He was, yes. He was blind. He collaborated with Olivier Messiaen and Maurice Durufle and Jean Langlais. They all kind of collaborated together and worked. And there's a picture, it's probably on Google, but they're all collaborating in a huddle together, and they're all talking. It's a picture of them all talking. I just find it so fascinating that they all shared ideas and stuff together.
So that would be your last piece of the recital, right?
Yes, this is more of a short recital. I'm playing a recital in May for my junior recital, which is my graduation recital of this year of studies at the conservatory. And that'll feature works by Messiaen and Durufle and Littez and a lot of French stuff. Hopefully even some Schoenberg.
Schoenberg variations, right?
Yes, variations.
Oh, that's a very challenging piece, as I remember. Very virtuosic and absolutely dissonant, right?
Yeah. If I can finish the variations, I will have them ready to play, along with the Du Palme Nu by Messiaen and the Prelude and Fugue on Elan by Durufle.
Wonderful. So, out of these pieces for this Saturday, can you name your favorite one? The one that makes your day, so to say. The one that you are very eager to perform.
I would have to say it would be the Littez Prelude and Danse Fugue, because have you heard this piece particularly? Have you heard it?
No, but I can imagine the style, because it's so modal and a little similar to Langlais, probably to other composers of that period, right, from the 1970s, right?
Yeah.
They all collaborated, as you say. It was a magnificent time to walk in Paris and France, and to know that those people are still alive and still active, and their energy surround the city.
Well, it's a cross between, in my opinion, it's a cross between Durufle and Schoenberg.
Really?
So it's very active and very impressionist, so to say. but it uses the octatonic modes, like Messiaen would have used, and it's very different. It's very unique, but it's thrilling, and the ending is a French toccata. It's a dance fugue, and it ends in the style of a French toccata. And he takes tone clusters and puts them in huge groups of 10 or 12 notes all at once. And it goes in a rhythmic pattern, and it's thrilling. You have the full organ out, the chamade, the festival trumpets, the horizontal trumpets. Everything is out, and it's so loud. It makes you just want to get up and dance, and it's so fun.
Fantastic. I assume you not only playing this piece, but you also have analyzed the structure, how it is put together, right?
Yeah.
That's probably one of the first things you attempt to do, right? To understand the composer's mind, what went behind the scenes. And then you can appreciate the music even more, so because you know what the octatonic mode is, right? And you search for it. You search of various appearances of that mode in various transpositions, right?
Yeah, definitely. Also, I forgot to mention, I am premiering a movement from my Requiem in this recital.
Your Requiem?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about your Requiem and this movement?
Sure. It's still a work in progress. As you know, Durufle spent 6 years on his Requiem. It's the work in progress. I've written several movements from it, but I'm premiering the movement, the Pie Jesu, which is for a soprano singer and organ solo. I mean, a duet. And it's my own personal style. When I'm not trying to imitate anybody, it's very impressionist. It's very, very Debussy, Ravel, Durufle kind of tone palettes, Fauré too, in terms of the tone palette. And I try to incorporate old with new in terms of form. I try to keep sometimes old form and use new harmony and explore the new, so to say, the new chemistry of music and the new formulas of the chords and stuff. And this was a piece, particularly, I wrote when I was sad, and it's a long story behind that. It'll take me hours to tell a story. It's a very long story, but it's very beautiful. I find it's my favorite piece that I've ever written. It's very beautiful and it connects with me a lot in terms of emotion and mentally and all, physically as well.
Fantastic. I am very glad you are taking your initiative and composing, right? Composing for organists is probably as important as improvising, right? Do you also improvise, Matthew?
Oh, I do. As a matter of fact, the CD I was telling you about earlier was mostly a CD of recordings of improvisations I did.
Oh,
I love improvisation. It's one of my hobbies and my loves. I love it.
You know that you could actually play, not necessarily this time, but sometime in the future, you could play written down pieces by other composers, masters that you admire, your own compositions, like Pie Jesu, for example, and other things that you are working on, and you can also play a live improvisation, right? Not necessarily upon submitted theme. No, you can come up with the theme right away.
Yeah, make your own theme.
Make up the theme as you go, right? Or even you can take somebody else's theme from your own recital repertoire, right? That would give a nice thematic resemblance, right? The people will probably remember, oh, I heard Schmücke here and there, and Matthew is improvising on the same tune, let's say, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
How would you feel if you would be able to play such a 5 or 10 minute improvisation in between of the real organ repertoire?
I would be totally fine with that. Improvisation for me is a thing that I don't think about it. It just happens. Once you do it a certain amount and you have that theme in your head, it just happens. And I think I don't think it would be a problem, to be honest. I think that if you have the confidence to do it, I think it'll be very good.
Now, in your studies, do you have improvisation classes, or not yet?
Sort of. I will improvise sometimes, and I will get feedback on it. But it's not a designated class. But it's in between.
But if you took initiative, right, and asked your professor for permission to include one or your improvisations here and there, probably he would be fine with this, right?
Oh yeah, he would. Yeah.
He trusts you, right? That you can create music in the moment, coherently, structurally, well designed, and with nice harmonies and rhythmic integrity, right? Where your listeners will not be bored, right? But you could actually keep your listeners' attention for 5 or 10 minutes in a row.
Yeah,
you could, right?
Yeah, probably. I mean, I hope I can.
Yeah, actually, it's a great experiment. You never know actually what will happen during improvisation, especially in public.
You can't.
You think it will go fine, but it will go fine. But in your mind, might be a failure or disaster, right? But when you listen to the recording, especially after some time, maybe a month or so, it's not that bad at all.
It's not. Yeah.
Right. Yes, we tend to be our worst critics most of the time.
We do.
Great.
I'm still hard on myself, so I know how it feels.
So Matthew, when you go back in time for 2.5 years, you remember the day when you first started playing the organ. Can you share with us one thing you wish you knew when you first started?
I wish I knew how to play the organ, because I mean in terms of technical stuff, because I did not play a tracker organ for a long time. I started on an electro-pneumatic organ, and I developed bad technique of organ technique. And when I got to a tracker, it was so much more stiff and hard to press down than an electric action. And the electric action is easy, and you can fly through fast stuff, and it's light. But when I got to a tracker, I had to start over. I had to relearn how to play the organ because I couldn't get the keys to go down in proper ways and stuff. So I had to relearn how to play and all. So don't get comfortable with electric action, because if you get to the tracker, it will turn your world upside down and light a fire under your butt.
Great expression, right? And it's so meaningful, because a lot of times, especially people who have electronic organs at home, right, or in churches, they tend to practice for hours there, and they have a great difficulty adjusting to a real mechanical or tracker action organ, especially a large where when you draw the couplers, it makes the sound and action really heavy, quite heavy. So that was the great challenge for you at the beginning, right?
Yes, very huge challenge.
Was the pedal playing for you a problem at that time?
It took me about 3 months to get used to it, and after that, it wasn't a big deal.
Wow, that's fast. For me, it took about 3 years. Yes.
Well, I did a lot of pedal exercises, and I learned the Bach, the pedal exercitum, and that really summed it up for me.
I remember my colleague who was of my age, and we started together here in Vilnius, and even earlier in my hometown Klaipėda, playing the organ. And when we together were accepted to the Lithuanian Music Academy, I saw him practicing in one of the practice rooms at the academy, double pedal dance, some kind of from the movie or cartoon that he made up in his mind, and he improvised on that melody with 2 feet at the same time. This was a unheard feat for me, and I felt so diminished and so weak. Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
just it's important to keep your confidence up, definitely.
So thank you so much, Matthew, for your honest and inspiring ideas at this level of your experience of this place of your career, right? I wish you all the best in the future, that you really would try out so many, maybe 500 different organs, right? And you would get adjusted to each of them in 5 seconds or more or less, right?
Thank you.
Because it's just like driving a car. The more cars you drive, the easier you get adjusted to each of them, right? Whenever you take your car to mechanic, right, you know right away that he is a professional with thousands of cars of experience, right? And he can back up easily and do all kinds of maneuvers with your car, although seemingly he or she sees that car for the first time.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
So that's my basically hope for you, that you would get so much experience with different organs in different countries while touring the world, right? And teaching in one of your favorite colleges or universities or conservatories, so that really you can adjust in no time in any given organ, in any situation, and of course share musical stories with your listeners, which will inspire them as much as they inspire you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
So, Matthew, before we end this conversation, can you give our listeners a link where they could find you and your work, your recordings online?
Yeah, I have a YouTube page. It's Matthew Gates, and it's a picture of an organ. I think it's the only one. I think it's the only Matthew Gates on YouTube that even has a picture of your organ, so it should be pretty easy to find. Also, my Facebook page, I post organ stuff on there, and it updates almost every day. The videos and links and pictures of my experience and recitals coming up and calendars and everything. So Facebook, honestly, is the best way. Just send me a friend request on Facebook, and you'll see everything you need to know.
Wonderful. So Facebook, YouTube are the great place to visit you and your work, right? So thank you so much. Good luck in your recital in a couple of days, and let me know when you do your new recitals, new storytelling events, maybe new recordings, right? What comes up next in your life, so you could share with our listeners as well. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you.
If you liked this conversation, I encourage you to visit my blog Secrets of Organ Playing at organduo.lt, where you will find lots of insights, practical advice, and training for every area of organ playing. You can subscribe to this blog for free to get your daily dose of inspiration and to be the first to know when any of my future podcasts roll out. I hope to help you reach your dreams in organ playing. I'm Vidas Pinkevičius. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you online really soon.